It was impossible for me to break free of the drugs, as I was surrounded by drugs. I was not only taking drugs, I was also selling drugs. I was dating drug dealers. Everything around me, all my surroundings was to do with drugs. I had no normal life. My life was based on all kinds of drugs and alcohol. So for me, this was an impossible case. By coming to the church, I soon learned how to have strength, and I was taught how to use my faith, and putting the two together, I was able to get rid of this addiction. It didn't happen overnight, but within the first few weeks, I already saw changes, and the impossible case became possible.
Hi, good evening and welcome to Finding Answers. It's Christmas Eve, and as you know, Christmas is normally known as a time for family. Family being together, families being united, spending time pondering over things, what the past and also the present and the future. But what happens when you find yourself alone at Christmas? In about an hour's time, the clocks are going to strike 12. Christmas Day is going to be here. And a lot of people will be opening presents, will be having the Christmas lunch, and, spending that time together. But if you find yourself alone, I know that's very hard. I know it's difficult not having your family around for whatever reason it may be. So tonight's topic is don't be alone this Christmas. But you may say to yourself, I can't avoid being alone because I don't have my family with me. They're not in this country even. Or my family are around, but we're not getting along together. Well, on tonight's program, you're going to hear a story of someone whose family were divided, and you're going to hear the reasons why, problems that occurred in the family, but how today that family has been reunited. And it's not difficult, it's not hard, because you will hear what this young woman did in order to restore her family. And it's at this time where you need people around you, especially your family. Well, with me I have Victoria. Hi, Victoria.
Hiya.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Do you like Christmas?
I love Christmas. I think it's fantastic.
What do you normally do at Christmas yourself?
Normally go and stay with family. Yeah, down in Devon.
In Devon?
Yeah.
Yeah? And how is Christmas in Devon?
Oh, it's lovely. It doesn't often snow because it's near the seaside, and the warm air comes in. But no, it's really nice, really Christmassy. It's fantastic.
Okay, good. So, look, if you would like to contact us now, our lines are open. You can give us a call. The number is 0207 686 6300. We have people on standby who are ready to take your call. If you feel lonely, maybe you're flicking channels and you've stopped at this one, you want someone to talk to even, you would like even a prayer. And remember, Christmas is not just about opening presents. It's not just about getting bargains in the sales. Christmas is about Jesus. And the focus has been away from Jesus. The world doesn't recognize the birth of Jesus or the fact that Jesus exists or existed. So it's not just about family alone. It's about Jesus. And that's why I want to invite you to call us so we can pray as Jesus taught us to do. Pray that things will change for you. All right? Also, Victoria, what are the other contact details that they can send in an email?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can send us an email. The email address is help@findinganswers.tv.
All right, that's it. So we have a video to play. Let's have a look at this.
The media often tells us that Christmas can only be enjoyed if you have a big family around you, and that there are presents for everyone. But what if you don't have a family around you at Christmas or enough money to buy everyone presents? People who have lost a loved one or their friends may particularly struggle with loneliness at this period of time. It might be disconcerting coming back to an empty house on Christmas Eve. People do find it difficult to admit loneliness. They often don't want to be a burden. However, it must be remembered that many people live happily alone and get pleasure and satisfaction from solitude, and it's often necessary for psychological well-being. Just because the newest Christmas advert includes large families and an inordinate amount of expensive presents, spending Christmas on your own or spending it with one friend or loved one can be just as valuable. Also, spending large amounts on lavish gifts, followed by months of debt and regret, do not also make a good Christmas. Try to remember what Christmas means to you. A recent article written by a self-confessed lover of a solitude Christmas says that you should almost certainly structure your day. Read a sentimental Christmas story. Plan your favourite TV shows. Get some fresh air and enjoy the quiet Christmas streets. And if you do crave other people, maybe go and volunteer at a shelter or a soup kitchen on Christmas Day and help spread the Christmas cheer. If you do feel lonely, then why not contact a local group or organisation, as talking to someone on Christmas Day could brighten even the most darkest of times.
Okay, so that's what you can do if you are lonely. Now, I remember growing up, for me, like most people, Christmas would be waking up early in the morning as children, going down, opening your presents. And I know I've spoken to some people recently, and they said that for them, you know, when they used to have Christmas, Christmas morning, for example, there would be like a strict regiment where they would have to have breakfast with the family before they eat. And that's horrible for a child, because you just want to get up, go downstairs, rip open the presents, and then play with them. So each family is different. But I remember in my family, Christmas was always waking up, and sometimes I wake up very late, and my family had already opened their presents, and then I would come down and then open mine. It was, after that, we would have like a breakfast, a certain thing that we have every year, tradition in our family, a certain breakfast that we would have. And then, you know, the alcohol would start coming out early in the morning. And by lunchtime, people were tipsy. And then there would be the Christmas dinner or lunch together. And what would happen, what started to happen later on, was that there would be arguments. There'll be arguments, and then after a little tiff, people would go off one way, another would go the other way. Some would fall asleep, and then there would be myself and my brother, and maybe my mum, who would be watching the Christmas films. And then before you know it, Christmas was over, right? We'd pick the leftovers, you know, in the evening, but that was our Christmas. And maybe you find that your Christmases are like a routine. It's the same thing every year. It's arguments over the Christmas table. It's the past coming up, the past being repeated again. And you don't want that. When you think of Christmas, that's what you associate Christmas with, division in the family. And maybe you wish you could go back to the old days. You're remembering the old days, but you want to go back to the old times. Maybe your Christmases are good. You know, you've got your family around you. Maybe you've had a relative that's passed away recently. And instead of being sad, which obviously you will, because maybe it's the first Christmas without that person. However, you can think of the good times. And that's what I want you to think about this Christmas. You have to start changing the way you see things. Start changing the way you see Christmas. Start thinking of Christmas as a time together. Think of the good times. Make plans for your future, right? What do you think, Victoria?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a really nice time to reminisce. And if you are spending it on your own, you can do little things like the video said. You can maybe plan for your favourite TV programme or read a book, or even phone some friends. People don't mind if they're spending time with their families and you're on your own, or you could always ask to join them.
You know, one Christmas, the first Christmas that I started going to church, which is another thing that you could do. There are churches that have Christmas services. And the first Christmas that I started going to church, there was an invitation to go and visit people in hospital. And I said to myself, you know what, that's something different, that's something new. So me and my girlfriend up and went with the pastor at that time, and we visited people in hospital. I said, Mum, Granddad, look, I'm going to go into the hospital. I will come back for lunch, but I just want to do something different. And you know, that was one of the best Christmases that I've ever had, because I was giving. I was doing something for other people. And actually, visiting people in a hospital, when we sat down and spoke to them and held their hand and talking to them, they were so grateful that they had someone to meet, because some of them didn't have relatives, or their relatives were far away, or they were just alone. So that time of giving, that special moment of just talking to someone, and we even said a prayer for those who wanted the prayer, they felt, you know, really happy that someone actually spent time with them. So that's something that you could do as well. You know, Christmas is about giving and not just receiving as well. So we're going to go for a break, and when we come back, you're going to meet our guest for today, who's going to be sharing her story of how her family were divided, but also she found the answer of how to bring them back together. We'll see you after this.
How does a person gain control of themselves again? Let us help you.
Welcome back to Finding Answers, and it's Christmas Eve, and tonight's topic is do not be lonely this Christmas. So let's meet our guest tonight, and stay tuned, because if you find yourself alone this Christmas without family or friends around you, hear what this woman had to say regarding her family.
It's pushing me for the rest of the week, so it's like a boost.
Things were really tight.
Today, the way I see myself is completely different.
Hi, with me in the studio is Carmen Madiba. Hi, Carmen.
Hi, Pastor.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So you were, you had your family who were divided, separated, right? How long were they separated for?
From the age of 8 until when I turned 14. And then still situations were going, although they're trying to sort out things, they wouldn't, so for quite long.
And this starts off in Spain, where you're from, right?
Yeah.
So tell us, how did things eventually, I'm sure your family were united When we're talking about your family, we're talking about mum and dad?
Yeah.
Who else?
Mom, dad, then from my background, we also consider family and close family, especially with my mom's side. They were very close, so I would say my aunties and my cousins, we used to be very united. I remember when growing up, as a child, they will always be there for one another. I remember when my parents separated, my aunties were there to support my mom, even in the financial side, because of course she didn't have much. So my aunties were there to support her at all times, pick us from school, whatever she needed,
so
whatever support.
You had that extended family.
Exactly. So for us, it was back then, everything, although my parents were separated and so, things were different.
So when did things start to go wrong then? What happened?
Well, one stopped speaking to one another. There wasn't much.
Who stopped speaking to who?
First, my parents were separated. My mom was depressed. Her attitude completely changed, and this affected as well the rest of the family. The relationship she would have as well with her sisters, with her brother. So
you see how important the couple is, right? Husband and wife, the marriage is, because once there is separation, divorce, or whatever the case may be, it can affect both of them. It affects both of them, but especially the one who is with the family, because as you said, the aunt, she was moody and upset, and you must have picked up on it, and the rest of the family who are close by also picked up on it.
Exactly, and it wasn't only with them; it was with us as well, her children. So she was very closed. She never wanted to have us around. So it was really difficult, really difficult. So when now Christmas came, of course, no one wants to be close to a person like that. And even if they will come, they will always criticize her. They will always pick at her back constantly. And then I remember one of my aunties taking us and say, "Oh, why do you stay here? You should come to my house." So that division started then. And then each of them would just celebrate Christmas in their house.
So instead of everyone being together,
it wouldn't happen
in one
anymore.
house.
So everyone chose to stay with her own family,
right,
in their house. So
you would go with your aunties and spend time there.
I wouldn't, but that was the intention. The intention from my auntie was just to separate and start creating, for me to start thinking even worse about my mom. You see how your mom is. Those were the comments. You see how she is. She never wants you guys to be together. Whenever she appears in somewhere, everyone have to be sad. If you're smiling, you cannot smile anymore. Why? Because of her moody state. So it would be always criticism. Why would you stay with someone like that? Come to my house. You're gonna have fun, etc.
With your mom, do you have siblings?
I have my brothers, two brothers.
Two brothers. Now, seeing your mum, the way she behaved after your dad left, how was that on you and your relationship with your brothers?
The relationship with my brothers was fine. Actually, I was the one giving love to them, because we didn't receive any affection from my mom at all. She was in another world, I believe. Although she would provide financially, the rest of the things were non-existent. So I remember that I had to, I didn't have a childhood. I had to take my brothers everywhere, even to school sometimes, coming home, prepare things, because my mom was at work. And she demanded so much from me. She wouldn't care about anything else. She just wanted us to have what we needed, which was money for our education, etc., and for food. But affection she would never give, because she didn't have.
She didn't receive that as a child herself.
Exactly, she didn't receive it, and during that period of time, my dad wasn't there for her. So it was a lot that she was going through at that time, and I hated her. I just didn't understand. I couldn't. Now I understand her, but back then I couldn't understand why she was reacting like that towards us. I was just thinking, how come a person, have a family and not appreciate the family that she has? How come she have children and not even give love to the children? I remember my brothers used to say that I was the friend, and I was like the mom for them, because I was the one giving affections to them. I was the one, being there for them. I was the one taking them to the park. My mom never had.
Did you hear anything from your brothers that they said something maybe negative about their mum to you?
Many times, when we were young, because they were very young, not that much, but growing up. Yes, many situations. They hated my mom.
Really?
They really hated my mom.
Did they say that to you, those words? I hate mum?
Yes, they did many times. And they used to say, why can't we speak to you? And why can't we get along with you? And everyone else said, no, with her. She doesn't love us. It's like she doesn't love us. She's very selfish. And she's actually not thinking about us. And I remember my brother, the one who follows me, he was like, I'm sick of that. And they started being really rebellious against my mom, because that was their way of expressing the frustration.
Now, what did you do when your brothers told you that? Because within you had the same, did you have the same thoughts as well? Or did you kind of dispel those ideas, those thoughts that they were having?
I depends. I did many times say to them, oh, it's because she has a lot of work. I make them try to understand her, but deep inside of me, I was questioning her as well. I was kind of thinking the same. And at times I just exploded and said everything in her face, and my brothers were there.
Right. What did you say that day?
There were many things. I said to her that I feel that I am adopted, because although my brothers were feeling that frustration, and they live that, I believe that I lived it more than them, because all the responsibilities were on me. So I didn't have a childhood. I couldn't go out with friends from the age of 8. It was completely different. So for me, I was really depressed as well. I was frustrated, and I was blaming her for everything that was going on. And I could not understand why I never received like a hug or love. I remember I used to go and hug her or kiss her, and she would clean her face away. Or I would just prepare something for her, and nothing was good enough for her. And I would do something in school, or I remember once I bought her flowers, and she put the flowers in the bin.
Really?
Yes. And I couldn't understand why she was so bitter and she would react like that towards me. So I used to think that I was adopted. I told her that I don't know what she's my mom.
What was your mom's reaction when you told her that you were adopted?
She slapped me. It was like, how could you say that? You just slap. And
did she change after that outburst from you? Did you see any difference in her?
Not really. I believe she will be more careful of what she says, but not much. Right. There wasn't much.
So there was difference. A root to her behavior, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
There was something that was causing her to behave the way she was, but it didn't help you and your brothers, right?
Not at all.
Growing up, how did you turn out? I mean, you got older, probably teenagers now, your brothers. What happened? How did this friction or this problem in the family, what was the cause on you growing up?
I became very independent. That's the first thing. At the age of 16, 17, I was already thinking of moving out of my house, finding a job meanwhile whilst I was working. Although I didn't, I was very independent in my thinking as well. Another thing I could never do, it was communicate with my mom. There is no communication at all.
What about your brothers?
There was a lot. We used to communicate. We used to communicate a lot, but they would come more to me rather than me to them, because I was the oldest one. So if I needed any advice, I could not rely on my mom for that.
So in terms of your brothers, these are now boys turning into young men.
Yeah.
How are they affected by this?
Very rebellious, very much.
Rebellious outside of the home?
Outside and in my house. They will never listen to my mom.
What would happen outside? How were they rebellious outside?
For example, one of my youngest brother in school, he would never perform. My parents used to receive calls, and even myself used to receive calls from school saying that he beat someone or he reacted, he outburst. He even once had a big argument with the teacher to a point of, wanted to beat the teacher. He started taking drugs.
Really?
Yeah, weed. He would take weed. He used to have problems when driving with other drivers because he used to be very impulsive. He would just stop the car in the middle of nowhere and, go and try to take the other driver out of the car and beat him. Just like that.
Just like that?
Just like that.
So were you with him? Was he ever arrested by the police and you found out that?
No, he has been arrested by the police, but I only found out when I was here in this country. So for you to see that things really escalated.
Tell me, so then, growing up, Christmases, can you remember your first Christmas where the family weren't together, all together? How must have that been for you? Because it's Christmas Eve now, and there are some people that are probably dreading tomorrow because while their friends and other people have their family around them, maybe they're going to be alone, or maybe they have family around them, but the family are divided. So how was Christmas for your family?
When they were united.
When they weren't, when this problem was occurring.
We had to sit down in the table because it was an obligation, meaning
now it was an obligation.
Then
back then at that time.
Yeah. It was an obligation because no one wanted to sit down, in a table when that during the weeks it never happened, or in a daily basis it never happened. No one wanted to, and I'm talking now about us and my mom. My brothers and my mom, because by then no one wanted to be with us. No one wanted to come to our house and be all together. And my mom was so proud that she would never go to anyone's houses just to say, okay, you don't want to be with me, so I'm not gonna, go with them. And I remember my mom saying, okay, everyone have to stick now with their own family. Now, family was mom and us. It wasn't longer my aunties or my uncles and my cousins. Not anymore.
Would it be like just eat quickly and
eat quickly? My mom will go to her bedroom and we will stay watching TV, like programs that they had in TV during Christmas Eve, and then we stay until late and watch movies, and that's how my brothers and I used to be in Christmas. And then when growing up, each of us will go out with our friends at 12 after taking the grapes, 12 grapes.
12 grapes?
Yes.
That's a tradition that you have, right?
Then we'll go out with our friends. My brother will go out with our friends, and then my mom will stay sleeping.
Right.
Do the maths. Changing your life is not as simple as changing your hairstyle, your shirt, or rearranging the furniture in your living room. You're talking about years of deep-rooted habits, behaviours and problems that are not going to change overnight. Many may say, think positively, but the trouble with that is that you can't do or change anything with just thoughts. But add action into the equation and the outcome can be different. Let's do the maths. Positive thinking plus action equals a change. Whatever it is, if the change is significant, if it's worthwhile, then it will have to take time, effort, and homework from you.
At Christian Books Plus, we offer a range of Christian books, Bibles, gifts, DVDs, and so much more. Our headquarters is situated in Finsbury Park, North London, and we have a few other stores located across London and around the UK. Our aim is to provide you with inspirational reads and beautifully packaged gifts that will enhance and strengthen your walk with God. However, if you prefer, you can shop from the comfort of your own home. On our newly revamped website, you can find the full range of products that we sell, from children's stories to Christian music. Purchasing from us is simple and easy. Select what you'd like, add it to your basket, fill out your details and proceed to the payment section, where you'll be able to make your purchase securely and have all the items delivered right to your door. We strive to provide the best service at all times, with staff that are warm, friendly, and always ready to help.
Hello and welcome back to Finding Answers. So tonight, this Christmas Eve, our topic is Don't Be Lonely This Christmas. So as usual, we've been out and about talking to the general public, and this week we asked them, what would you do if you didn't have the people, the family and the food and presents this Christmas?
Definitely depression is probably number one.
They're arguing and they're talking negatively about each other.
What is more valuable than another? And so
you can have as many friends and families as you want. It just depends.
Is a common regret, like, oh, like I should have like asked that person out, or like.
Christmas time is here once again, and the emphasis is on the people, the food and the presents. But what if you don't have that this Christmas? I'm on the streets of London asking the public about their opinions on alternative ways and what should the emphasis be. Let's see what they say. What would you do if you didn't have the presents and the people and the family and the food this Christmas?
Oh God. Biggest thing for me Christmas is home, family, because I come from Belfast. So every year coming home Christmas Eve with family is the main thing. Rather than presents, I always just ask for a flight home. I come from a big family of 7, so we all come together at Christmas. They all live around the UK, so we all come home Christmas time and just chill out and be together again. That's the main thing for me for Christmas anyway.
So would you say rather than all the presents and all the food, that people should just find a way to get in touch with family or friends?
Family and friends is the main thing for me for coming back to Christmas.
There's always like good to be done. I mean, there's charity work all the time, like to help people like homeless people and sufferers of domestic violence and things like that have run away. So like you can seek help with a charity or focus on spreading like the good message about like religion or level.
I'd probably just pass the day doing whatever I like doing. I don't know, music, do some sports, I guess. If I didn't have any friends or family, so do what I usually do.
Do you think friends and family are really important for Christmas?
Oh yeah, I definitely do, because like Christmas is probably one of the most defining like days in my life where you can actually see what you built over the years, the family you built, the kind of relationships you have, and I guess without them you become empty, you become useless. So it is like truly something important, I think.
I was going to say probably try and volunteer or go and see your friends or just try and just help out. Even if it's a job or anything like that, then that's probably one of the things I would do. Just try and fill the void, I suppose.
So I'm just going to ask a quick question to Carmen myself. So Carmen, I was just wondering if your mother ever sought help from a doctor or was ever diagnosed with having depression?
Well, my mom saw doctors, the GP. Sometimes she will have like kind of issues, and she will need to go to the doctor. And she knew that she has problems. She knew she had many things that she needed to deal with. But she was the kind of person that will keep things. I will not perhaps be able to express herself as she should, and therefore she will just keep it inside herself and not seek for that professional help.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So Carmen, you, during the break, you were saying that you came to the UK to escape from what was going on back home, right?
Yes.
That must have been a hard decision to make, but at the same time, maybe a new beginning for you.
That's right. I mean, I wanted a new life. I knew for sure that I didn't want to stick in the same, environment, the same negativity. So, and at times there was no way to actually, convince my parents or my family of anything different. So I decided to move and come to the UK.
Now, some people would say, you know what, I'm going to move out of the house and go to another city, or maybe move down the road and another town. You decide to move to the UK.
To the UK.
Now, it must have been obviously hard.
Very.
Adapting to new culture, the language and things like that.
Yeah.
But how were things? How were things here?
Hard. Very hard. I mean, it was a new beginning, as you mentioned, Pastor. A new beginning in everything. I mean, I lived my whole life in Spain, and now coming to a new country where I do not know anything, I had to learn the language from scratch. I'm laughing because back in Spain I used to learn English, but when you come here, it's just like what you learn is rubbish. It's nothing. Yeah. So yeah, it was really hard, and then not having a job, wanted to study and not being able to. I wanted to study and I didn't have the money to. So it was really hard. It was really, really hard.
And you came over here. You started working. I'm assuming, right?
I started working and studying.
Okay.
Yes.
But things got worse back home. Tell us briefly what happened.
Well, I remember that, I used to receive constant calls from my parents. Back then, my parents were now together. They decided to come together, but things went from worse to worse. So they were separated again for a while. And they were complaining about the behavior of my brother. It was a shame. One of my brother Carlos, he was a shame. They couldn't keep him at home, so he decided to live with friends. And for quite long, my parents didn't know anything about him. The only thing they knew, it would be the bad news when things would really go over the top.
What type of things did he do?
He used to go out in the streets, beating up people. He will, I don't know how you call this, but it was like selling his document, his passport, to drug dealers, to people that, wanted to
forge passports.
Yes,
passport.
Just because they wanted to enter into the country or wanted to travel out without, with a different ID.
So he would get money from that?
He would get money from that.
And what would he do with that money?
I don't know. I don't know. I believe he was the kind of person that never wanted to work. He was very lazy and he wanted easy things. So he found a way to do quick money, easy money, without having to sweat, have, fun with his friends, go partying, go outside and do vandalism.
Did he ever take drugs or alcohol?
He took alcohol. Drugs, I believe he did as well.
Yeah. So he's living a reckless life, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
until, and he continued doing that. And he even got involved now with drug dealing as well, meaning they offer him a part in what they were doing and he accepted. So
how old was he at the time?
18.
At that time, 18.
18. And it was really bad. My parents didn't want to know anything about him because it was a big shame apparently for the family. He would never listen to anything and he used to lie a lot. Every word that he would say would be a lie. So he used to believe in his own lies already.
So Carmen, your life did turn around. You actually could do something to help your family, right? Please tell us, how did things start to change?
Well, I received an invitation from a friend to come to the church.
His church? Was it? Her church?
Her church.
Right.
And at first I just didn't want to, because I didn't want to know anything about church. I didn't want to be involved with anything that has to do with the church, because I will relate God with church. And from the background I came from, it's like nothing would change, because my mom was quite religious and nothing changed in her life. So for me, it was like, what am I going to be doing there? I mean, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in all these things. So
So your mom was a prayerful, she would pray to
yes.
God, but seeing nothing in her life.
Nothing, and I was against that. Actually, I used to think, why should I go to a church or a place?
So what made you go then, when your friend invited you?
Because she said that it's different. She actually told me a little bit of her story, and I was shocked, because it was quite different from the church that I know. I mean, I would see my mom going to. So I decided to give her a chance, give her.
You thought, look, I'm doing it for you, but actually it was for you.
Yeah, and then I attended, and you know, it was different. It was just different. It was like, actually I could reflect to what the pastor was actually saying and preaching.
What was different about it?
It was more like a home, and they would speak about everyday problems, everyday situations. It wasn't religion. I saw myself there as someone that could actually, I saw hope, first for me, because I was a person full of grudges, insecurities, sicknesses. So I had many issues, many things that I was dragging for many, many years. And that was hope for me. That was okay. I mean, let's try. I listened to the preaching and everything, and I was able to speak to the pastor later on, and I found hope in me changing, and also in my family.
So what was the step? You were given practical steps, right?
Yes.
It's not just prayer. I'm going to pray and then God's going to do the miracle. There were certain things that you had to do. As you said, you had grudges towards your family. You felt insecure. You had to deal with those things before a prayer could be answered, doing something else. So what did you actually start doing?
I started doing a chain of prayer. The main thing was, back then, the sickness I had a kind of a brain cancer and problems in my bone marrow as well. So because doctors said that was there for many years, and well, actually, I was sick for 8 years, and I was taking painkillers. I had many operations, etc.
Really?
Yeah.
But what did they say?
They said that it was incurable. That
you weren't gonna die from it.
No, I wasn't gonna die immediately. But for example, it's a it's a little bit complicated. I wasn't going to die in a short period of time.
It will get worse over time.
But it will get worse over time, and I will never have a normal life.
Right.
So I had more than 5 operations, and the operation, instead of things getting better, it would even go worse. So I was hopeless. I was hopeless. And
was that the first sign that you saw in yourself, your healing?
Yes, that was the very first sign. I was sick for over 8 years, and in less than 2 months, I was freed from all pains.
Your doctor, you went back to the doctor,
everything
and they confirmed
was clear.
nothing there.
Everything was clear. They didn't understand. They didn't know how.
So you were doing what, prayers?
I used to do a chain of prayer, constant prayers. I used to come. They used to anoint me with the holy consecrated oil in the areas that were affected. I remember back then I used to have it as well, migraines, a lot of pains, headaches. It was terrible. I could not deal with, I could not speak to a person.
So that was a sign basically for you, look, this place is different. It does, prayer actually does work.
Actually, that was the first time for me to see that God really existed, because I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in the existence of God. So for me, for that to happen to me was like, my goodness, God does exist.
Now, if you saw that in you, then you must have thought, you know what, now family, it's going to be no problem.
Easy.
So you started to channel your prayers and your faith toward your family. So what did you ask God for?
For a total transformation in my family. I wanted my brother to change, to come out of the situation, but of that kind of life. But as well, I wanted my parents to change, because I knew that most of the problems we had was due to our family, was due to the separation of my parents. Even though at times they had been together, even together they had problems that will affect us as well. So the main thing for me was them, for them to change, for them to realize that they needed help.
What did you ask God to do in their lives? What was the, God, this is what I want you to do. What did you say to God?
First, to realize that they needed help, because they were very proud. And for them to be able to get to know the God that I now know, I then knew that God that performed that miracle in my life, I wanted God to perform the same miracle in their life.
Now, you got your healing, but there were still those grudges and those insecurities, especially grudges towards your family. Were your prayer answered even though you had those grudges, or did you have to work on those
I needed
first?
to work on those grudges.
So what did you do to let go of those grudges?
Well, I used to do opposite of what I would think. For example, when I would have like a grudge against someone, I would stop talking to that person. I wanted that person very far away from me. And I used to be very, the kind of person that if you do something to me, I will pay back. So I had to stop doing all these things. I had to stop thinking opposite, different. So the first people that had to face that was my parents. So I contacted them, and I asked for forgiveness for having kept grudges towards them for so many years, being them my parents.
Did they accept?
They didn't understand.
Yeah.
My mom,
I could understand that, because look, you're a daughter. I don't expect you to do that, but okay, was it like that?
My mom didn't accept. She said that because I kept so many years, these grudges for so many years, then she will never accept that.
Oh, really?
She even said to me that I'm no longer gonna be her daughter, that I should forget about her. She stopped talking to me for quite long.
Now the thing is, let me cut you there. The thing is, you hear that from your mum. You could have thought, you know what? What's the point? I've just heard this. She doesn't accept my forgiveness, or whatever it is, my apology for holding this grudge. What's the point in continuing? Did you think that?
No, I didn't.
I think your healing and the miracle that took place in you drove you to keep on trying and persevere.
That's right. I didn't. I understood that she needed her space as well, but at the same time, I was praying for her. I was praying that God would touch her heart, would make her, because I know that she had a lot of pain. Now I could understand her background, the things that she went through. So I didn't think anymore about me, about my pain or anything, because it was gone. God took it away. But now my focus was in her.
Right.
So I could understand her. I keep on praying for her and calling her, telling her how much I love her. Even though I will receive rejection, I would just back it up with love, with care. Whenever I could, I would be there with her. I would travel to Spain. I would take her to the best restaurants, and I would take her, to shop. I would cook at home. And
that's the way you get rid of or overcome those feelings, those grudges, right? Doing the opposite, as you said.
Yeah.
Now, with your brother, what happened?
With my brother, oh dear, it was the same. I had to first say, okay, I cannot change him, because it's easy when you have to deal with yourself, but when you have to deal with people, it's something completely different. So what I did, just, my God, here, I give you my brother in your hands. I traveled. I had to see him, speak to him, see what was going on, etc. And I remember that he said that after I came back, he went to jail. And there in jail, he had time to reflect on his life, the path that he took, and how different he wanted it to be, how different. Then he made a prayer, and he said, God, if you allow me to come out of here, I will change my life. I will do everything to change my life. So that's when he accepted to come to London.
So, just to briefly cut you because I don't have much time. How is the family today?
My family is blessed, is united. You know, we are friends. My mom is my best friend, is a person that I can actually talk with her about everything.
She doesn't have those feelings
Not anymore. He's such a lovely person. I mean, you need to actually see and know her because she's such a lovely person. She's happy.
Yeah.
She's understanding with her husband, which is my dad.
So he's back now.
Yeah, they can't live without each other.
Right.
They're so close. And, you know, we always plan things together, although we are far away because they live in Spain, and we have a WhatsApp where we have a group of the family. And we plan things together. We share about different kind of things, events happening, and Christmas.
And Carlos, how is he, your brother?
He's great.
Yeah?
He's doing,
changed.
yeah, completely. Carlos is a blessing now. I mean, you will never think when we say this and we tell this to people, when they look at him, they would never think that he has been this kind of boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a completely different person now, and he's growing and becoming even better every day.
Carmen, thank you much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me here.
Now, look, she mentioned a lot of things there, but the thing that she turned to was God, was prayer. And there was something that she mentioned, that when she prayed, Carlos, her brother, actually went to prison. Now, she may have thought, what happened there? But God can work even in prison, because it was there where he reflected on his life. And instead of continuing to do wrong in prison, where I heard that in prison there are people that they actually hone in on their skills to steal and do wrong, and they come out a better thief or a better robber or whatever it is in prison. But he decided in prison, you know what? God, if you give me this chance, if you get me out of here, I'm going to change. And that's what he did. God heard that sincere, simple prayer. And where did he learn to pray? He learned from his sister, who was the example to the family, right? The one who had the grudges, the one who was insecure, the one who had her own issues, including a health problem that would eventually kill her. She received healing. She received God's touch in her life, and then she was able to pass that love and that good example to others. And if you find yourself in the same situation, then I want you to do something. It's coming up to Christmas Day, but it's never too late. You can start now by the prayer that we're going to say now. And you can give. You know, you can start giving to others. But before you start helping others, first, help yourself. Right? First, forgive. Don't worry about what your family or other people have done to you. First, work on yourself, which is what Carmen did. And when she was able to help herself with God's intervention, then she was able to work on the others around her. So it doesn't matter if you're lonely, if you're single this Christmas. There are things that you can do. As we mentioned in the video and we mentioned at the beginning of the program, you can do some charity work. You can, visit people in hospital. You can, make a difference with your family this Christmas. But even if you have these things, there are still issues that maybe you need to address. And this prayer will be able to help you do that. We're not going to go for a break. Actually, we don't have much time left, but I would like to go for the prayer and invite you to join me. If you like to include your name, or if you want to talk off air, then we have a team of advisors who will be able to sit and talk with you, all right? And if you want to pray, you can ask them to pray for you as well. That number is on the screen now. It's 0207 686 6300. As I said, we don't have much time left, so I apologize for that, but let's go straight to the prayer this Christmas Eve.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like a prayer concerning your spiritual well-being, send your name and prayer request to prayer@findinganswers.tv.
Father, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, we join our faith together. And in a few moments' time, the clocks are going to strike 12 and it's going to be Christmas Day. For many people, it's going to be a time where they're going to spend time together with their families, eating, drinking, sharing good times, opening the presents. But my Lord, for others, this is going to be a lonely time. Lonely in a physical sense, but also lonely in that even though they have family around them, there is that division. One is not speaking to the other. And maybe, like Carmen, this family are not together because of separation. One is in one country, the other is somewhere else. One is in prison. And my Lord, that's not what Christmas is all about. Christmas is about getting to know you all together, remembering you. And we see that the spirit of Christmas, the real meaning of Christmas has been lost as the years go by. So I pray, my God, that we invite you to go into this home now, to touch this person who maybe has tears rolling down their face. They are angry, they're upset with the people that they wish now that they could be together with, but that grudge, that feeling is overwhelming, is controlling them. My Lord, take away this hurt. Take away the years of abuse. Take away, my Lord, the pain from this heart. And help them to do what Carmen did. Instead of focusing on what has happened to them, let them give, my Lord. Let them give and share the love that you have given to us. Give this person the strength to forgive, to make a new start now, my God. And I pray, my Father, that this Christmas, your presence will be there with this person, at that table, at this person's, wherever they are, their presence. If they're going to do something, giving for others, they're on their own, may your presence, your love be there with them. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Lord, bless this water now. And may there be a warmth, an inner glow, a peace inside of this person that will not be taken away by anything or anyone. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Drink this water now and be free from your hurt and pain. In Jesus' name. Okay, so that's it. Today, well, in a few minutes' time, it'll be Christmas Day. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, but remember, it's not over. You don't need to be alone this Christmas, all right? And I believe that through this prayer, if you are physically alone, then right now God is there with you, okay? If you would like more information about Carmen's story, then please give us a call, because there'll be someone there to help you and share with you more positive stories, all right? And be with us tomorrow for our Christmas Day Finding Answers. Have a wonderful night. We'll see you again live tomorrow, Christmas Day. Bye-bye.